Welcome to a new spirit that will warm your heart. Welcome to a new spirit. Every day's a brand new start. Where encouraging words can heal your soul and dreams will be renewed. Welcome to a new spirit, a new spirit in you.
Well, if I can find my headline, I'll start the show. Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
We were just like, here's a reason to heal.
All right.
Welcome to the New Spirit Radio Show by the Society of Novus Spiritus, founded by world-renowned spiritual teacher Sylvia Browne. Today's date, it sure should be December 8th of 2021. Coming to you live from California, both NorCal and SoCal are your hosts, Reverend Tom Bigley and MIT Catherine Taylor, playing audio segments we call Messages from Spirit. Why? Answering the ultimate question, why are we here and what is our purpose?
These segments are recorded trance sessions from Francine, Sylvia's spirit guide. For new people, Sylvia was a full trance medium, which means Sylvia contracted to let her and Francine's essences exchange places in Sylvia's body. And we think of our body being similar to a car. One driver gets out and another driver gets in. This allowed Francine to share spiritual knowledge with us directly from the other side.
On occasion, another master teacher and healer, a guide named Rahim, would exchange with Sylvia and present us with spiritual information as well. Francine and Rahim shared directly from sources like the Akashic Records, Mother and Father God, our spirit guides, Christ, and many others.
And meanwhile, during trance, Sylvia would sit on a nice bench in a rose garden on the other side.
And here are our hosts, MIT Catherine Taylor and Reverend Tom Bigley.
Hi, Tom. Happy Azna's Feast Day.
Happy Azna's Feast Day. Thank you. Wonderful. Yes, this is December 8th. It's our traditional date for Mother Azna Feast Day. It's a date about petitioning, and we're going to have a special prayer for that. If you want to hear more details and watch, I just posted on Facebook and YouTube the Sunday service for Azna's Feast Day, the special ceremony. So, yes.
Awesome. And for anyone who's listening, if you haven't written down your petitions or prayers, go get a little notebook. And as you're listening to the show today, I invite you to write down things that come to mind for what you want for the coming year. Today is the strongest day of the year for saying your prayers and offering them up, writing your petitions. Today is the day to do it. So go get your paper and a pen and start writing.
Fun. Quick, our agenda for this evening is, how do you use Novus Spiritus philosophy? Second, we'll have special prayers and a moment of silence. Then we'll have a trance segments, meditation. We'll do closing notes. The novena, we have credits. And then, instead of a prayer by Sylvia, I'm going to read the Azna's Feast Day prayer. A special prayer. Then we'll close with the Mother God song like we do.
Beautiful. It's going to be a good night, guys. And hello to people in chat. I see Donna, Aaron, Eric. Hello. Nice to see you. Ron, WW. Hi in Ventura County. I know that's where you're at. Catherine, Naomi, Effie. Very nice to see you. And as everyone starts tuning in, just wonderful for you to be here today, and happy Azna's Feast Day to you too.
Fun. All right. So a lot of people hanging out, listening, and sharing. Good. Plus, we've got people that have called in and are listening in as well. So from their place of origin. Fun.
All right, cool. So what of Novus philosophy? Let me ask you this time. What of Novus philosophy?
Okay.
I did. I got
you. let me grab it here. I did cue it up. So this was from last week because we were having fun with a different subject last week. So, and I've been practicing this to try and keep this like short and simple, but explain to make it
Mm-hmm.
sense. Oh, sorry. Remind me that we got a couple of notices after that too.
Oh,
Anyway,
good.
let me tell about what I use. So, um, trying to make this short and simple story. Um, my let's see, my dad passed away in the spring. My mom was living in the house. My sister made a deal with my mom that she would buy her house. So my sister and brother-in-law sold their house, moved in with my mom. Then my mom found a home, and I had lived there for a period of time too, not during that, but earlier in that house. So my mom had lived in that house for like 20 years, mom and dad at the time, um, for 20 years, and I'd help them, fixing the house, doing things. So I was kind of familiar with what's where in the house, and so my sister and brother-in-law move in. My mom finds a place to move, and now my sister and brother-in-law are rearranging things in the house, and she says, "What's this light switch for?" There's an odd light switch in the hallway that's separated from other light switches in the front hall. And I'm like, oh, I know I knew this at some point what that switch was for, and it was scotch tape to keep it on, to indicate to keep that switch on. And so she's like texting me, what's the switch for? And I had to think, oh man. Well, at that moment I said, okay, Dad, tell me what it is. I was like, not sure if I was gonna get an answer, but like, I don't know, 5, 10 seconds later, I got one of those like epiphany alerts in my head and said, and I got a vision of what that was. Is
Oh, wow.
yeah, exactly. There's an outlet on the outside of the house that has the front yard. It's got a timer and transformer for the front yard lights. The little lights you can low voltage lights you put in for
Mm.
decorating yards. There's an outlet on the front corner of the house that's for some strange reason that switch controls that outlet on the outside of
Wow.
the house.
That is so
So
random. That is
yeah,
so terribly random.
it is.
And and the fact that you got that infusion for something so incredibly specific, that's really, really cool.
I mean, my dad figured out what
It's
it was,
helpful.
and
Mm,
I knew he knew what it was at that moment when my sister asked. I couldn't remember, but I knew I had
mm.
known about it. So that's why it's
That's
a
really
fun,
special.
one of those epiphanies. Oh, it's that. So anyway,
That's cool.
that was
I love
my
it.
Novus philosophy.
That is so cool. That is terribly cool. I'm really happy that you got that experience and that you figured out what the light switch was for
Yeah.
because that's incredibly specific. Oh my goodness. All right, so what did I use? I actually wanted to share a couple of my special moments with Asna because I think that everybody should talk more about all of our experiences with Mother God and invite her into the world. So I will share two experiences that I attribute to her. All right, so they're both from my younger years as a young person. Let's see here. When I was a kid, my mom and I and my entire family had gone through a really, really bad desert period as a family. And just everybody who could have something going on had something going on. And it was pretty brutal. It was, I'm not going to lie, that was a tough, tough desert period for all of us. And we came through it together. But as we were coming to our various epiphanies of this all has to change, like this circumstance and this circumstance and this circumstance, and we were all growing as people,
Mm-hmm.
including me as a child. I was going through my own thing of because that's what kids do too. We're told kids also learn and have their own charts as well. So, but as we were leaving and we were feeling really really good because we were moving out of this town and starting a new chapter, there was a rainstorm that happened on this Native American reservation in Montana, and it was sunset. But the sunset turned this entire area into a globe, a
Oh.
glowing globe of pink and green and purple. I don't know how the sky turns green and emerald. It was incredible, just like every possible color of rainbow. And it was like that for 2 hours. A sunset lasts for about an hour. That's a long sunset. This was the most incredible sight my mom and I have ever seen in our lives, and it lasted for 2 hours. And I have
Wow.
no question in my mind that was Mother God just saying, like, you are passing through this space now and onto a different space. It was just like this cleansing experience both my mom and I had, and we, like, at the very end of it, we had to just get out and we felt like different people. It
Fun.
was just
Wow.
incredible. Yeah. So
Wow.
that was one experience that I attribute to Mother God. Thank you. Thank you, Queen. And the next one was happened in a dream, astral travel, soul travel, as Francine likes to call it. I was on the other side, and I was a late teenager when I had this experience. I was in a soul travel. I was on the other side, and I was hanging out in a room full of poets, and we were all. And it was a poetry reading. Everyone was listening to each other's poems, and it just filled my heart with joy. That was just something that I like to do, is listen to people do poetry, which is, apparently that's something I like to do on the other side, because I was having a fantastic time. So anyway, at the very end of it, Mother Azna like walks in and she starts listening too, and everybody was so happy. It's like, oh wow, the queen of all artists and all words is here. And it was just so cool. She was there, and she listened, and so and then she left. She was just happy. It was amazing experience. And she left, and I was losing my mind. I was like, I am fangirling over here. Okay. Just like ran after her. I was like, Mother God, Asa, do you have poems? Can I read your poems? And so, and so she looked at me, she's like, yes. And so she hands me a book, and it was things that she had written, and or that was written for all time or something like that. It was a real book, and I opened it, and
Wow.
it was glowing gold, and just like the pages were just like this incredible source of light and gold. And I read for hours, and every word was perfect, every placement was perfect. My soul was a new person again when I woke up in the morning. And I'll tell you,
Wow.
the first word was one line, and it said the word do, as in like do this. And I thought about that for a while, and I was like, you know what? That is the word of action and command and activation and emotion all in one word. And it was just, that's it. That's
Ah.
Mother. Do,
Wow. Fun.
do it,
Okay.
do. And it was just one word. I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And the next line was honor me. So do,
Wow.
and then honor me. And it went from there. So that was two incredible moments. Thank you for allowing me to wake up as a new person who's ready to do new things in the world. So, anyway, please share your mother experiences, because we need more of our goddess on this side. All right, I'd love to. As you post things in chat, we'll be happy to read them in celebration of her day today. So,
Yeah, that's
okay.
fun. Fun. I appreciate you
Mm,
sharing like that. I like. I I'm just trying to organize things and make this all
I know.
work, and I'm like, well, now I feel like almost embarrassed that I didn't think of anything of that. But oh well. My contribution is we're here. So
That's
it's
that's beautiful. It's
yeah,
step number one.
yeah,
We are here so that we can do.
yep. There you
That's
go.
right.
There you go.
We're here so we can do. All
Let's
right.
see. A what do you call it when the newspaper puts a correction in the prints a correction for something that they posted?
Corrections,
Corrections? Okay.
I think.
Because I keep having the word a bundsman in my head, but I think that's the wrong
Oh,
purpose. I
an
thought a
ombudsman.
bundsman is like a complaint or something. So
An
I have to.
ombudsman is an activate. Yeah,
Is a what?
and it's the person that you go to when you need an advocate.
Oh.
Excuse me.
Oh, okay,
When you need
okay.
an advocate, you go to the ombudsman. Is my
Ombudsman.
understanding.
Okay. All right.
Ombudsman.
They're a designated person for
Yes.
help of some sort. Okay,
A
never mind.
designated person for help. Our spirit guides are ombudsmen.
Oh, but there you go.
They are
Okay,
all
well,
ombudsmen.
I okay. I don't need an ombudsman.
Okay.
w- w- there was a statement made last week that we need to correct.
Oh, okay.
We were talking about come on, my phone just turned off here. My screen went away, and I got my that's where my notes are. Hello. Now it doesn't recognize my finger, so I can't open it. Jeez. One of these days. There we go. Thank you. So the discussion about lower levels last
Oh.
week, there was mentioned that they're tulpas, and they're not tulpas. I got a email from one that was a listener, and two from one of our ministers,
Oh.
saying that the lower levels are not tulpas. They are actually real. It's a different dimension, just as similar to our other side is another dimension compared to where we are. The lower levels are an actual living things, and yes, there is. So the sprites, the fairies, the unicorns, and the dragons, and so on, all them in those lower levels, which we can read about in one of the journey books. In Exploring Levels of Creation is one of Sylvia's books. Talks about all those lower levels. So you listen to those, or go find the book and read it for more details. But those are real, and yes,
Yes.
there is a place in those lower levels. One of those lower levels is where our discarded thoughts go to. So the things that we think of and think, oh well, that's not good. The horrors ideas and the scary stuff end up in that place. In my opinion, those could end up being tulpas because thoughts are things.
Yes, yes, yes. Those are tulpas. All because every Francine said that everything with like from the lower like with the lower levels is every thought that anybody has ever had
Yeah,
goes into those lower levels. And because thoughts are things, I remember Francine saying like, yes, those are tulpas. So that is not to say that they are not real, because they are real. The whole point is that thoughts are things. And because we've spent so much time like creating these beautiful, beautiful images, that's why the upper levels have all these beautiful things. And, God's thoughts are there too. Francine said it's God's subconscious is the lower levels. And so it's really, really cool discussion. And they've mentioned different pieces of this conversation. They've mentioned it in different places. And so I think it's really cool to talk about and definitely clarify. Yes, those are
things
actual real things. And
like our essences are.
I have two good friends who've seen fairies. And
Oh, fun.
I'm not gonna I'm like, there's no point in me fighting these two very, very rational individuals. They're like, I saw a fairy. I saw a lot of fairies. I was like, oh, okay. I believe
Yeah.
you. I don't have any reason not to.
It,
Okay.
it, yes, I would personally like to see something of that nature myself, other than. But I know what Sylvia's. When she went to visit over in Ireland, that it's. She writes about that in her book, about getting to go and visit and see and so on. So that's always fun to hear about. But then
Very
again,
cool.
if a ghost or spirit shows up in my bedroom at night, I'm gonna jump. I know I'm not that accustomed to having them wander through my room, so that's just me. Okay, well we've got through
All
that
right.
part, and we're almost through the
Special
show here.
prayers.
So I got the notes out of the way. We took care of that, and
Oh, I need to
where
pull stuff up.
you need to blow
All right.
something
I'm
up.
ready. I'm ready to read
All right.
our
How did
segment
we
notes
use?
whenever
Oh,
you are ready.
yeah. First, though, we're gonna do special
Special prayers.
prayers.
Good.
Because we did that. So this is a moment we like to do a moment of silence for those of you that have special prayers, and for everyone else that's listening and would like to donate energy, put energy towards a special prayer. By all means, do so. the wants and needs are all over the place, whether people know it or not. Many people do go to the website and post in the prayer chain. That's one place to put it. It's if you've got your own petition pot or collections, we're going to put energy into that as well. So take a moment, and it doesn't matter when or where you are. You're listening to this. We're all participating in it. So let's take a moment of silence, and we're going to, especially Mother Azna's feast day, that we're going to ask her to put, special energy towards our prayers and special needs too. So let's take a moment of silence. Amen.
Amen.
And of course, be the prayer. If you see a need, fill it. Let's see if you. And I reread this note, and I'm still not sure about who, what, how. If you don't hear us here, find us on YouTube and Facebook. Oh, so if you're on Blog Talk Radio listening to us, yes, that will be going for a period of time, but eventually we're gonna evolve away from that. However, you can, for the live, when we're on live, you can still call in if you want to call in and listen on a phone. The phone number there's a new number. It's 888-534-2696 to listen live. For whatever, reason or purpose you'd like to listen on your phone. I hear are you lighting something?
No,
sounded like a lighter.
That was my pen, and now I'm having a. So remember, while you're listening, go write your petitions.
There you go. Very good.
Petitions.
There you go.
Okay. Okay, I am ready to read. If you are ready to pull up.
Yeah, if I can figure out.
If we're there.
Okay, sorry. I have these buttons that I'm still trying to what is this? Yes, if you'd read the first segments, and then I can grab the stuff.
You got it. All right. First we have talismans with God's symbols. Amulets are for protection and talismans are for remembrance. Francine on tattoos. Oklahoma City bombing had no suffering. Balance yourself instead of grounding yourself. Chi is grounded etherically. Chi is... what did I write? Chi is balanced etherically and is never grounded. That's what I meant to say. Chi is balanced etherically and is never grounded. Billy Graham. And lastly, people need a reason to heal. Okay.
Cool. Right. Get your notes out and enjoy this.
The reason why I asked that is so if you could make a small totem or a stone or a tattoo.
Yes, talismans that work.
That you could
use for protection. Yes.
Yeah, in times of need.
Yes, and hold on to it. Yes. Pull everything to you.
You could even pray through that.
Absolutely, because I think that's what amulets were for. Now, of course, amulets are different than talisman. Amulets are for protection. Talisman are for remembrance. You know that.
How about a tattoo?
I'm not. Never been. Even though in my day, tattoos were the thing. I don't mind tattoos, but I think we should have to be very careful of disfiguring. Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
We've got, talking about images, Novus Spiritus says, the dove with the olive branch. You being, the keeper of things in the sort, we've got two images now. One's got 7 leaves, one's got 9. Do you see any reason for one or the other?
I'm sorry, I just lost this whole thing.
The leaves on the olive branch. Originally, I thought there was significance to the number.
No, there's not. It's an olive branch.
Just some clip art we found.
It could be 18. Yes.
The thing that's concerned me about this Oklahoma issue is that we in our society have gotten away from community of taking care of each other. And I think this explosion demonstrates how simply explosive devices can be made.
And how easily accessible they are to harm other people.
Yeah. And I think that, we as a community need to watch out for each other.
Oh, absolutely. Because you see, anybody now that has any axe to grind, as the old saying goes, can drive up to a front door of anybody with explosives, and the next thing you know, you're blown to smithereens. Oh, yes, it used to be that people congregated, but you see, so much of this is the greed and the capitalism has caused all this. And we can't blame the government all for that, because don't you see people out in the street creating just as much as the government has done? So, are you going to blame the master or the slave? If the slave becomes greedy more than the master, who is to blame? The availability was for everyone, and people have got to get back to the earth. And as she said, maybe feeling like they're climbing up the tree, beating people off, in many ways is a good image, because that's exactly what's happening. And if you're not doing that, you're certainly dealing with dark entities that you're beating off all the time.
It's like our tenet, that war is deplorable, but defense is...
But defense is, oh, absolutely. And that really is part of the dogma of the United States government, was the right to defend oneself, more than just bearing arms, the right to defend oneself and one's community. And to go back to maybe a familiar subject, that's what the Indians tried to do, was to defend their country and their children and their homes and their families. And they had every right to, by the intruders that came that were not American, they were English. Yes.
Last time you mentioned being above the body as opposed to in it. And I'd always been taught to ground myself, and so there's a conflict there. Where's the
It's very much like she said, the chi. The chi is knowing that the kingdom is there, and knowing that the kingdom resides, but you being the landlord can be the overseer. And I think to ground yourself, that was a terrible misnomer to put, or misleading, because to ground yourself meant that you were earthbound. So it's very much like a landlord overseeing his property, but he doesn't have to really reside in every nook and cranny of it.
You better say balance yourself.
Balance yourself, yes, and don't be so concerned about the body. So you can ground yourself way above the body rather than in the center, but the chi itself will ground itself once you're above yourself. If you've ever noticed, and Sylvia's made a great study of this, sometimes, very often in these older people, or even in people who go insane, they've been sick all their life, the minute their mind goes, their body gets very well. Because the mind is really the killer and the healer.
Francine, when we move on to wherever it is we all end up going, our self-protection will be important and in a peaceful manner, but yet protection. And I'm thinking, will Tai Chi, as far as the martial arts go, be the mainstay, or will there be the other arts, maybe the Taekwondo or the other martial arts in there to assist, or is all we need the Tai Chi?
Tai Chi and probably most of the martial arts by the people that are coming, yes, yeah. I think you're going to find that once you get through this rabid time, that when you do form your community out of love and bringing everybody in, see, you never want to have a closed community anyway, because that also smacks of Waco, a cult. Yeah. Is that what you'll do is have peace and harmony much more than you will in the next 5 years that are to come. Yeah.
Well, am I correct in the assumption in the cohesive nature that I put together on the unified theory that chi is no more than tapping into vital force, which is universal love?
It was called organ energy. It was called...
Right.
Elon Patel.
It's called everything, but it is a chi. Yes, it's nothing but tapping into the divine love, right, and allowing it to come in.
So it's not grounded physically, it's grounded etherically.
That's right. That's right. Right. You can never ground anything in your body except to release the burrs that are there, And like you would to go up and clean up a place that was that you rented out, that you wouldn't want to have you'd put a coat on it, a coat of paint on it, you'd fix it, you'd put the light bulbs in, and then you go away.
So utilizing vital force and mass consciousness in my cohesive nature, then I've actually done the unified theory then.
Mind, body, and spirit. Yes.
It's all in the mind.
Right.
Just a observation is just we've had, we are so fortunate to have all the knowledge that we have, and it was a little bit sad and no slant against, but when Billy Graham did the funeral thing, it was like he really
Didn't know what to tell the people.
and I feel bad. It's like he couldn't give,
Because he didn't know. That's sad. He didn't know why it happened. He couldn't give any solace to why it happened. And then to say, and the healing begins. Healing can't begin if people have no reason.
That's right.
No, there was no step. There was
And people have a hard time, you see, because in many ways, even if he did, some people are very afraid to get up and say these people chose this. Because immediately, people who are not of spiritual slant cannot believe that anybody would choose that type of thing. Not even for a greater good. But what sacrificial lambs these are to go through this. Although I will tell you, there was no suffering involved. There was no suffering by anyone that we saw. It was so flash quick. And as she said, our Lord came, Holy Spirit was in attendance. Talk about a rescue team. Nothing that your world will ever know was like the rescue team that was there on that site. And we didn't see one pain, we didn't see one person struggling. We see more in hospitals, convalescent places, than we ever saw. Does that make the act any better? No. To take a child's life? No. In the act is evil. In the act is abominable.
There we are. And I believe the reference to Billy Graham and the funeral, if I remember correctly, he had done and tell me if I'm wrong, but he had, I believe, performed the funeral ceremony for the people that passed at the Oklahoma City bombing. I think that's what that's referencing to.
Yeah, that sounds right. And he was basically America's pastor, I think, at that time. He was very, very, very
Popular,
positive influence.
well-known.
Yeah, popular, well known. I actually went to one of his church church services, but it was in St. Louis. It was huge, like Astrodome level, and the positivity was really, 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 really wonderful. And so I remember, I think Francine mentioning that he was a mission life entity. So not a mystical traveler, but a mission life entity. And it's, yeah. But
admirable in that, yes, there have been several times that his name has been brought up and talking about. I'm amazed at how well he performed, how he did such good work, and yet he felt he was not worthy of going to heaven.
That's dreadful.
That was his mindset, as much positiveness. I mean, then I'm sure. I'm curious how he was surprised, when he got to the other side, when he did pass.
Yeah,
all the good that
certainly.
he did.
Certainly.
Very popular, very positive. Yeah.
Yeah, very positive individual. But that is an interesting point that Francine was making, is that people just at Billy Graham and people in these circumstances in general, without that extra spiritual knowledge, they don't quite always know what to say to actually allow for the path to open up towards healing. Just saying, like, now is the time for healing. Like, if someone were to just tell that to me, I'd be like, okay, is there a roadmap that you want to suggest here?
Yeah, but when we, knowing this philosophy and people come to us, we give them something that resonates with them. A lot of this knowledge, is that last puzzle piece that makes the connection, and they go, oh, and oh yeah, that's right, and they found that truth for themselves. That's what we provide. Unfortunately, he and that was his path, his chart was to be in that position, but it's as Francine said, he didn't know.
Um,
Are you
while
above your
we
body?
no, yes, yes, I am.
That's a trick
I'm
question.
going. That was a good question. That was a good question because I've been thinking about this like balanced versus grounded conversation. Because it's a huge conversation that we constantly are hearing now from people who are promoting wellness. Say like be grounded, be grounded, be grounded. And I've wondered that too. Like what is like Francine has always told us be above the body. Raheem has always said that be above your body. But how does that? But I also know that the
What does it mean
idea
to
of
be
groundedness
grounded?
is
Right.
helpful. Like sitting beside a tree or beside a rock, I feel quote unquote grounded. But now I'm understanding after this conversation a little bit more about what's going on, which is balance. That's what I'm after. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. That's something that I can conceptualize. So,
I can think of grounding is also a way to, how do you say, rinse off negativity. Allowing
that's
that to
great.
rinse off, maybe in a physical form. Uh, um, Hugging a tree also is an exchange of energy as well. And how much of that is physical versus spiritual? I'm not. I don't know. I just know there's it affects both. Hugging trees is a helpful thing. But yes, so I was thinking, and when I was listening to that, is just visualize yourself. Our spirit, visualize your spirit above your physical body, because we are not our body. We are a spirit in a physical body. How
Just
do you
driving the
say?
car.
Driving a car,
Just
exactly.
driving the
So
car.
think of yourself sitting on top of the car. Yeah, but in think of it, for your physical body, that you're above your physical body.
I have a couple comments that I'd love to read really quick about Azna stories. Um, as people are pointing out, Azna on this day, she loves coming through by giving people flowers, and you just have to ask for a flower, and it will show up
There you go.
in interesting and beautiful ways. Um, First of all, Erin says that she had gotten lost last week. That sounds like a sounds like a sounds like it was not the most inviting adventure. But Erin said that she yelled out Mother Asin's name and Father and like out loud and got the directions that she needed one way or another. That was really cool. Gina says she asked for a flower and got a picture of one sent to her 7 days later. And believe it or not, it was from Ia. That is
Wow.
really cool. But she knew that it was from Mother Azna. That's really cool, Gina. Naomi says that she had a child hand her a flower out of her wall arrangement. That's really sweet. Just like, hey, by the way, that's really cool. Um, and last one is from WW, and they say that W petitioned for Asna to send their wife a pink roses, and their wife was painting flowers and pink roses when they came home. Didn't tell wife about the petition until the painting was done. That's really cool. It's really cool.
I have
Excuse me.
a fun one, because I
Please
was trying to
do.
think of something for myself, and I haven't brought up a personal memory of an asthma thing. It will sometime, but my son, when he was starting out going to college here locally, he wanted to rent a room local closer to school. So, and he was telling me he had been petitioning, okay, send me a rose when to help me find that I know I found the right thing. Well, I went with him to look at a room for rent at a home that was like just up the street from the school, And I thought, well, this is really convenient. We walk in, it's older home, seems like you walk into the room where he's going to be renting, and we look around, and then I look up. It's got wallpaper. If I remember right, there's wallpaper, or it was a solid color. But at the very top of the wall, at the ceiling, was a strip of wallpaper, and it was roses.
No, get out. Get out. That totally counts.
Yeah, that was it. It was like, I don't know, like a 6-inch strip of wallpaper that went all the way around the room. That was, roses, side by side, decoration of roses. And I said, "There's your sign."
There's your sign. That's funny.
Oh, those
Totally
are so much
counts.
fun though.
That's so cool. All right.
I'm ready for the next one.
Okay. And this one, hopefully I didn't have any typos. Okay. Next, we have pray to God that your passing is easy. Anything without forgiveness is evil. The bestseller lists. The Celestine Prophecy is Gnosticism 101. And Jim Jones amplified people into being egomaniacs.
That was an interesting note. Well,
Yeah.
let's hear more about it.
But what I'm telling you is in the spiritual level, they made it very well and very quickly. And pray God that you all not go up in a bombing, but that you all go that fast and that easily without being in some nursing home sucking on a tube somewhere.
These seem to be overt actions of negativity rising. Is it
Oh
like
yes,
the
it's very much like
volcanoes?
she said, and it's coming out all over the place. It's coming in your personal life now, it's coming in your, yes.
But it isn't just, it's internationally.
Oh, it's
And
global,
United
it's
States,
global.
everywhere.
Look at, they're gassing, they're trying to gas the people.
Well, in Rwanda,
In
it's still
Japan.
2,000.
Yes,
Yeah.
2,000 people. So the evil, don't you see how the evil is abounding? It's got to rain. It's yes, and it's not rained in by anything. And tragically enough, some of the fundamentalists is feeding it.
Yeah.
Whether it's Muslim fundamentalists or whatever, anything that is fundamentally without lateral movement and forgiveness is evil. It is evil.
So does this mean that we are going to have a big jump in our movement now? The white will also be rising?
Oh, certainly. I think that's why Sylvia keeps questioning why she's on Montel so many times. This is by design. This is not by random. She's meant to be on there many times because people are calling all the time. I don't know how many of you are on the phones. We hear it about the spirituality that she's giving out, the hope that she's giving out. That's by no coincidence. No. Yes.
And are we seem to be handling it appropriately okay?
Yeah, you don't have enough help, but then I think this is called spiritual sloth.
And we're still expecting a miracle, right? Or,
And when it comes, you'll know.
Like a thief in the night.
Yes.
Francine, you once spoke about when people are tragically die, they go to the House of Souls, I believe it was. So, but in
And they
this,
go to the towers.
but in this incident, people
No,
to the other side.
no, they contracted and they were really joyous. Oh, yes, the babies came through and they were 30 years old right away, so.
So they automatically knew once they exited their body that they charted this.
Yes.
it was a mission of
I think the horrendous part of this whole thing, and you may think I'm very strange, is how quick everyone judged the fact that it was either Islamic or Persian or Iraqi or... You see, people jump. Now, they must be walking around with egg on their face. To jump and say that these people were terrorists and these other people then were getting bombarded with nasty phone calls. See, is this a Christian way to live? This is a horrifying way to live.
Francine, a thought came to my mind how we've talked about there will be someone rising up out of the Middle East, and I did jump to the conclusion that it just must have had a Middle East connection because I thought maybe this is part of this entity that's rising up and this is part of his MO, not knowing.
I think he'll rise up in other ways, but not in this way. You know, even though it's been the prognosis or, the belief that there is a Messiah coming out of the middle, a false Messiah coming out of the Middle East. Well, he's already here, and he's not a good one.
It's Nostradamus, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, and it's been many of them, the Ayatollahs, and who just have been bent on destruction. The so-called imams that supposedly were so spiritual were at one point, but these people who are taken over and just elected themselves to be imams are terrifying people. Terrifying, yes.
When we're talking about all the negativity and how that's increasing, if you look at the bestseller list of books...
It's all violence.
Pardon me?
It's all violence.
Well, but there's some spiritual things.
Oh, yes. Transformed by the light and...
books.
Yes.
Celestine Prophecy.
Yeah.
So then that's the way the pendulum's swinging the other
Yes,
way
of
in
course it is.
reaction.
Insidiously, slowly, but it's doing it. Because before, even 20 years before, you never saw anything spiritual happen. But people are not just searching for alternatives. They really want to know the truth. They don't want to just hear somebody get up and say, I'm sorry your children and your family members died and we don't know why, but let the healing begin. It can't begin.
But it's almost like a grassroots thing, because I think there's no organized religion telling them to get these books. I think they're getting them on their own.
Oh, they're getting them on their own. And it is grassroots, but the grassroots are getting real big.
The Celestine Prophecy has been like #1 for...
And it's something, not that
5
I'm
months.
antagonistic over, but it's something you knew in 101.
Yeah.
The transference of energy.
Well, it's nice to see that it is...
Oh, I don't care how it gets out. Like Sylvia said, I don't care how it gets out as long as it gets out. But it's amazing to look back and find out when you read it to say, people didn't know this. When it was such a conditioned response to your own spirituality, you've always known it.
But at one time we didn't know it either.
No, but you knew it a lot longer, years and years ago before this ever came, and worked with it as if it were part of your own skin. Yes.
But we couldn't put it into words.
No. Yes. You.
One of the things that I'm noticing with some of the students that I work with, mainly in a class that I'm teaching, which I don't normally do, is that I think their surprise is that just to hear somebody talk about it, I mean, they are like soaking up my commitment, which I shared with you once before, having been to share Sylvia's Novus philosophy whenever I can, and I'm not just saying it, I'm feeling it from them.
And you're not just giving false hope, because within the soul it will resonate whether it's truth or not. Unless they're just so blinded by never wanting to find out and let somebody else take over their soul. Although we're finding most of these ministers, so to speak, can't even speak anything that anybody can take over because it's so...
judgmental.
Well, no, but not only that, but it's so empty and so blatantly stupid. That there is a random God that does random acts and takes children and people and allows them to be blown up for no rhyme or reason. What God is that? That's not the God that we know. That is not the God that I know. That's not the God that I'm aware of. Yes.
Take yourself at home, like a lot of Chinese use the potpourri symbol hang in their doorway, and like Reiki, is that a valid system too?
Oh, certainly it can. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong. Whatever you love loves you. Whatever you give power to gives power back. But that's a very powerful statement too, because you got to be very careful where you reside power, because you can give power to someone who's an egomaniac that then turns around and beams you back with not only their ego but yours, and you can get flattened by that. That's what happened with Jim Jones.
I think that symbol at work to chase away the evil people at work.
All right, I will go there.
Thank you. It's been delightful.
Thank you,
Thank you so much.
We love you, Francine.
God bless you.
Reminds me of this is the best school. It's where it's our spiritual evolvement, our spiritual lessons, what is a spiritual lesson? It's well, this is an emotional planet, so it's typically going to be something that requires emotional exercise, and it's part of why bad things happen to us. That becomes the challenge. The adversity that we face is the bad things that we've charted in our life, the experiences that we asked for. You're muted.
Oops, I forgot to press the button. Thank you. I feel like what I was going to say is I really do feel like that's the first hurdle towards belief in Gnosticism is like dealing with that. Why do bad things happen? It's just, it really, really comes down. Anyway, that's my personal experience. I would love to hear what Rahim and Francine's thoughts would be on it. But whenever I'm talking to someone who's like on the fence or they're really struggling with belief or anything like that, it always comes down to like, why do bad things happen and how, and so I know for me, once I understood and heard the reasoning behind why reincarnation and just our whole schematic exists the way that it's, the way that we've been told and the way that I 1000 believe makes sense and have so much personal validation for as well, which is that we, just like this, choose our lessons that are individual for ourselves. I think it's really, it impacts, it has informed every single conversation I've ever had with someone. It's always in the back of my mind, is to help anybody start to make peace a little bit with some bad thing that had happened and to reframe it in a way that isn't so stuck with the pain of like why, and just being stuck in there. Because I think it's so lonely for people. It's like, no, we're all Gnostics. We can all reach out and grab someone's hand and help them out of that really super lonely place. So that unanswered why isn't hurting people. Anyway, I went on
the
a
whys
excursion
are
there.
important. The whys are important, and
The why is important. Mhm.
It's to me that's the emotion, saying why.
Yeah.
And it's
and people get stuck. You really get stuck
when they don't have an answer that fits for them. That's and it can be easy to get stuck when nothing fits, nothing resonates to you. But that's what we're here to help and show is it's seeking after your own truth and not letting someone else like Jim Jones tell you how to think or feel or you've got to take the responsibility to find your own truth, not letting someone else tell you that I know better than you.
Yes. The words that I want to pull out, Francine said, was that it's a type of, like, there's a type of spiritual laziness that comes out of that. It's so much easier to say, you know what? I don't want to be responsible for my actions. I'm just going to, I don't want to think about it, but so long as I'm following this specific guru, so long as I'm following this specific yoga, like wellness teacher, so long as I'm following
or minister or pastor,
the specific pastor, the specific fundamental church, like whatever it is, like in those situations, people give over their willpower and they give over their life to someone else saying, all right, you gave me your willpower. Now I'm going to tell you how to live. I'm going to tell you who you can and can't be friends with, who you can and can't be family with. And it's a horror show. It drives me so crazy. And Eastern, like every religion has the opportunity for this to happen. It's like the wellness circle out there can be just as guilty about it too. If you sit down and you listen, this is what some famous like just self-proclaimed gurus. Some people are wonderfully spiritually advanced, but gosh, some people are like, I listen to them like, you just know words. You're just saying words, and it means nothing. It means nothing. And then I go and do some research on this individual, and it turns out that they are not a very nice person. And don't give yourself up to someone just because they're saying the words that are popular, saying their wellness, saying their meditation, saying whatever it is.
If the words feel empty, then they probably are empty.
Then they're empty.
But then that's that's that person. If you're listening to and seeking others, yes, you're on a search, and that's you've got to find out for yourself, what resonates to you. Many people come to Novus, and this goes, oh my gosh, this is so cool, because this resonates to them. Well, there are many people that follow the other organizations because something resonates, or something pulls them, or they allow something to follow that. But yeah, this philosophy. It's a responsibility, personal responsibility.
Yes. Wherever you go, as long as you feel like your flower is blooming and getting sunlight, and you can spread your wings, and no one's trying to clip your wings, that's really how I sense if I'm going to be reading an author or going to a lecture, or if I'm going to get really into some thinker or anything like that. It can be like Reverend Thomas saying about religion, about Novus specifically, but for any place in life, that's always what it comes back to. Do I feel like my soul can stretch? Do I feel like there's room for Mother God? Do I feel like my garden is blooming? Or is this person bringing a little rainstorm that I don't want? So, yeah.
Yeah. Are they a cult?
Are they a cult?
Are they sequestering?
Very direct. Are they a cult? Yes.
Do they
telling everybody what to do? Yeah.
Anyway, that's another.
Anyway.
So this next segment, we just finished an evening of trance of that session, and we're stepping in. This next segment is starting a new one, and I wanted to preface this one that for 95% of the trance sessions, Larry would give a short spiel because a lot of times we'd have new people attending these, so he'd do a quick introduction. This was a fun introduction that I've left on that explains the process of Sylvia and trances and so on. So I left this in. It's about 2 minutes, so I thought this would be fun for people to listen to, one that haven't heard it or are new, or and then it goes into the new topic and trance. So wait a minute, I better check that I thought I set this up, but would you read the notes, and then I will reset this up because I lost track of.
I would love to.
All right.
Okay, here we go. Brand new trance. Larry and Sylvia explain the trance process. Francine on the simplification of your life. Food, water, shelter, and love. You get off kilter with too much desire beyond reason. Most entities don't take care of their basic self before becoming too desirous. And love thyself was to address this problem.
Here we go.
Because the better the question, the better the answer will be. During the transition process, and it's truly no more than somebody else driving Sylvia's car, Francine and Sylvia exchange places. Sylvia goes off into the ethers and literally sits on a park bench on the other side, protected by guides and archetypes and friends.
And bored, silly.
And bored. And Francine comes in and uses Sylvia's body minimally. During the transition, please, you will notice a little jerk of the neck. But that's our standard jokes. You'll notice that the head jerks a little bit because that's Sylvia dying and Francine reanimating her body. This is true. We did some really cool biofeedback once, and she goes brain dead for a moment. I don't know if that's cool, but...
We should get out those old pictures that shows Francine leaving.
I got some great infrared photos.
We have some and then when it enters back in, she even called
a column of light. Oh. And it's done in infrared, and it's really cool. It's really cool. When do we do those? my old apartment on 11th Street.
1973,
4 or something. Old.
And then there was this sparkly stuff that went out. I said, what the hell is that? She said, that's you. And I said,
A little wispier.
oh, that little wispy fragment stuff.
And Francine was real focused.
Real strong, real column of light.
I almost called you Eda.
Wussy stuff.
Sylvia
was
all
No,
wispy.
you're not wussy.
Scattered.
Well, this stuff looked real.
So that was done a long time ago.
Like tapioca.
And so we'll converse, and do notice Francine does not utilize very much of Sylvia's body because energy has to be conserved. So she really is still, other than the head and mouth and all that. But elsewise, we will have a nice time, and you'll learn things that you never knew. And all of you come next weekend, Sunday, to the seminar. Stuff you need to know. Anything else?
Nice to see you again.
Ben?
I'd like to continue addressing this whole phenomena that is becoming more of a reality that has to do with deeper meanings of the cell memory and the morphic resonance therein. We know, to recap very briefly, that a soul garners information from life after life. We know also that the soul carries with it all types of mannerisms, phobias, ascetic values. The thing that is most important that you recognize is that in no way is your essence ever disturbed. The main bulwark of you as an entity, with all of your, let's say, persona, personality, depth, things that you've learned from your themes, has stayed the same. The more you stick to your simplified course, the more you stick to your basic self, the essence of you, the more you will not be attacked, the more you will not go off track, the more you will not have as many illnesses, and the more life deals more gently with you. And by this meaning, there is a universal truth that is universally the policeman of all of us. And that is the simplification of your life. This is by no means to go against or obstinate the fact that you cannot have material gain, that you cannot be successful in your life, that you cannot have a relationship, that you cannot have some contentment of soul. If you notice, when the soul gets into a wobble, is when you get too desirous of something. In no way do I want this to seem like a communistic approach, because the one thing that has kept all souls freedom is the democracy of enterprise. But in each one of your souls, you can take yourself to your basic self, which is a simplified version of living. And when you take the soul to its simplified version of its basic self, it becomes that, of course, you need water and food, and you need shelter, and you do need love, because that's part of the God plan. Where we fall into a pit of despair, where the morphic resonance or cell memory seems to come back and bite us, is when we become so desirous of things that are so far beyond, sometimes, any endeavor. If you follow your chart in simplification by saying, I will have enough, I will have a great degree of contentment, and in doing this, following our Lord's steps, and knowing that at the end of this, there can be success for everyone, by whatever measure you wish. The problem is, most entities do not address the basic self before they want to get to the desirous need. And that's where the wobble comes in. This is where our Lord made a very definite directive to love yourself. In so doing this, by loving yourself, ultimately, you also rule out a lot of the garbage you have carried with you from life after life that is becoming so encumbering. And the more you give vent to this negative phobic reaction, I will be sued, I will be put through terrible anguish, I will be rejected, I will be neglected, I will be abandoned, and putting yourself in what we call the powerless position. The power comes not only in ignoring adversity, but neutralizing it, but not by not giving it much credence. This is where, if you would like to look at it realistically, is why you see certain people in this life that seem to skirt through everything. Why they seem to have this almost secret or sequestered bag of tricks or luck that they seem to be able to pull out at any given time. The majority of entities do not have this because once they're presented with a problem, begin to give it so much power. Yes, they obsess, they give it power, and immediately jump to the ultimate of ruin.
There we are. So that ended too quick. But I was writing notes on, what does that mean? How does that, what was coming to mind, if you're pursuing too much? And it reminds me of, we were just hearing about Sylvia hurt her foot to get her to stop, because she was pushing too hard, walking too much, not physically, but trying to get somewhere. Or doing too much, so she hurt her foot, it got infected, she had to stop what she was doing. So in what is it? Well, where's that balance for me? Yeah, recently I've been finding myself pushing myself too hard. So what have I done? Well, I've been so anxious and how do you say, anxiously, there's another word and I can't remember what it is, but anxious, and so much that I've I grind my teeth at some point and I've lost a tooth in the process. So okay, is that helpful? No. So where's that balance? Well, and what just came to mind was Francine was saying, there's spiritual slothness. It's like not doing anything, it's sitting and doing nothing, versus overachieving, getting out and doing too much. So where's that balance for you? It's finding that balance for ourselves.
Yeah, and Erin asks a really, really pertinent question about that. She asks, how do you know when you are pushing too much and pushing too hard? How do you know, Tom?
How did I know? Well,
yeah.
Health. When your health deteriorates, you're stressing yourself out too much. Me, it's been, I've thought of it as, oh, I'm gonna achieve and go, and no, it's like I'm pushing too hard, too much anxiety, too much stress involved with the situation. It's been a, for me personally, it's been a fear-based motivation. If you look at the bottom line or the motivation of it, it for me it's been like a fear-based thing of I've got to do, I got to do, I got to do, and you know, over overdoing things and causing stress. It's causing physical ailment. I lost a tooth in the process because anxiety for me is grinding my teeth and
Ugh.
and fortunately I didn't hurt a foot. It's just but that's I had to deal with that tooth and that was painful unto itself. So it was like, hey, why are you grinding your teeth so much? Because I want to get something done. I want to get over, and it's like, okay, wait a minute. Even I've had to stop and say, okay, where's the balance? I'm afraid of letting go of that push, and it's getting back to part of its base self. Am I taking care of myself? Not as good as I could. That's been my recent experience.
I think that for me, it's very, very similar. And I'm going to add in like a special highlight to mental health. Francine has said in the past, Francine, Rahim, they've said in the past that if someone doesn't get sick fast enough to get out of a stressful situation, then they'll have a mental health flare up, because it's whatever thing that instead of dealing with something directly and saying, I am done with this, I'm done with you, I don't want to listen to this, I'm going to find a new job, or I'm going to find a new way to tolerate this and not let it bother me. I'm going to disengage somehow, some way, some shape and form in a meaningful way. If we don't go through that process, then subconsciously we start looking for an excuse out. And it's not saying that we are mentally making that up. That's not what this is about. It is
our mind
people start
will
noticing
protect itself.
Our mind will protect itself, and our body and our mind work together. And so people will start getting sick as a way to step out of a situation. And if it's and if we don't get sick enough, we've been told that we'll have like a bad mental health situation come up where maybe we're exhausted all the time, really depressed, super anxious. It just whatever that spectrum looks like, whatever you might have a predisposition to, it just goes off the charts. And then we have so those are some things to keep in mind. I know for me, I don't get sick fast enough, so I will have the anxiety and depression and all that nonsense happen a lot faster. And so part of my learning process, I'm very grateful for this, is I've developed a lot of, and I'm continuing to develop a lot of kind of like meta awareness of like, how are my thoughts doing? How are my emotions doing? Am I starting to get too frustrated? What is that about? I need to deal with it so that it doesn't turn into a situation where I'm passively letting it spiral into depression, because that doesn't help
or flaring up emotionally, like out of nowhere. Why am I so angry? Why are I got angry thoughts about this? Why am I frustrated so quickly and easily? Our emotions are a battery, and we have a limited resource of emotions, and
it is a battery.
Huh?
It is a battery. You're right.
Yeah, right. We need to recharge, and when that battery's drained, we a lot of variety of things happen. We can get upset over situations. We have less tolerance for situations. So, we got to think of our emotions as a battery. On occasion, we need to recharge. If we know the classic extrovert gets recharged by going to talk to people, and the introvert likes to hang out by themselves. And in whatever form that works for you. Some people, different people like to do different things to recharge themselves.
Yes. One other thing I'm going to highlight that's related to this is that Francine, at the end of the segment that we just talked about, was saying that when people, like sometimes, like why do some people seem like they're just skirting through life and nothing bad really sticks to them? It's because they're not letting, of things that could stick, they're not letting them stick. Like it's, so the difference
It
is
doesn't
that
affect them as emotionally as it may us.
because they're not letting it. Exactly.
Right.
They're assigning a meaning this is small. I am assigning the meaning that this problem is small. Whereas a lot of people, myself included, will think, okay, this small problem is here, and now I have every spotlight shining on this little problem that could turn into a giant catastrophe. And so what have I done? I've formed this connection to this small problem, and it's, and I'm giving it way too much energy, way too much effort, and then it's catastrophizing is what therapists call it. But Francine's saying it's a really spiritually significant issue too. So that's another way that you can wind yourself up way too much, and you need to stop, is recognizing those thoughts and saying, stop, this problem needs to stay in its stop, left wrist, stop it
Quiet.
Shh. Yeah, exactly. But that's another way to help manage your stress as well, is to make sure that problems are staying in the appropriate lane, and they're the appropriate size, and you're not inviting them into your life by being terrified of them. Because 95% of the things that we catastrophize about never even come close to coming true. Think about all the worries that you have right now. How often do they come true? Not that much. Like the worst case scenario you can think of, hardly ever. So,
and what are you doing when you're in that despairing emotional state? You're spending your energy. You're spending that battery.
And Aaron says making mountains out of molehills, absolutely. And Mercedes, it's a comment. I think sometimes we get so stressed that we don't realize that we're stressed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It just sneaks on in there.
Yeah,
sneaks on in there.
Yeah.
So, all right,
cool.
Good conversation.
Thank you for those contributions.
Yes, great conversation, you guys.
Oh, well, wow, look at this. So if you have any questions about what we share, feel free to post in chat or email us questions to kat@novus.org or tom@novus.org. We appreciate the listeners, both live and on demand. Show your appreciation for New Spirit Radio by sharing, promoting, liking, subscribing, clicking the bells, and whatever everybody else loves to talk about. Check out our websites, novus.org, sylviabrowne.com, chrisrightnow.com. Facebook, of course, there's Society of Novus Spiritus, Sylvia Browne Group, New Spirit Radio Show, and various Novus Spiritus study groups. Yes, we are on YouTube because you're watching us on YouTube. Let's see. Study groups, if you're interested in learning more about philosophy, jump on the website and check out study groups. What else? Oh, if you want to contribute to Novus and help support what we're providing, you can either start a study group, you can just donate directly, or if you love shopping on Amazon, look up Amazon Smile. Sign up as an Amazon Smile person and say, I want to donate my profits, my bonuses to Society of Novus Spiritus. Let's see, we've got church services. Watch on the last Sunday of the month. I understand we have sorry, I'm getting my schedules messed up here. Reverend Ellen Schloss has special Zoom services on the last Sunday of the month, is what I understand. If you want to participate in that, put your email in on the website and you'll get a notice. Watch for Sunday services on Facebook and YouTube. I just posted one Sunday that as the entire service of Mother Azna Feast Day, and I aired a classic of Larry and Sylvia. What else? Novena time. Very good.
All right.
So for everyone that wants to pardon me, participate?
Oh, are we meditation?
Oh man, I cannot read, can I?
Oh, it's okay.
I'm glad you were like, what happened to the silent moment? What happened? Did I? It is there. Look at that. I was just like jumping on down to the wrong. Okay, yes, meditation time. If you want to participate in meditation, now it's time to find yourself a comfortable place to sit with your feet flat on the floor and your hands comfortably on your lap. And for those of you that need to pay attention to what you're doing, don't pay attention to us right now, but by all means come back and listen to these wonderful, in the on-demand, you can get these meditations. Let's see. There we go. That's the one I'm supposed to do. And I think I know when that one's gonna, okay, here we go. Enjoy this meditation.
Find yourself a comfortable place to sit with your feet flat on the floor and your palms upward on your lap. Now, take 3 deep breaths to start relaxing the mind and the body. Now, when you are ready, close your eyes.
The Temple of Quiet. On the other side, the Temple of Quiet is shaped like an octagon and is quite ornate. The floor looks like marble. As you advance to the center of this room, each block that you step on begins to emanate a light. It is almost as if each of your footsteps creates a shaft of light coming up. It is quite lovely with pinks and mauves, purples and greens. When you get to the center of the room, ask for resolution of any problem you may have. Now a beam of light goes right into your third eye from a crystal set into each wall of the octagonal room. When this occurs, a problem begins to be enacted in front of you like a hologram. You observe from the perspective of your higher self. You see many options for dealing with this aggravation or concern in your life. You can now program the ending exactly as you desire. If you are very quiet, you will see the option that's been eluding you. For example, if you do not get the job you think you want, what do you choose to move on to? If you can't get along with a certain person, ask God to show you several options. Ask that they be enacted in front of you, as if on a movie screen. Choose the one that feels best to your higher consciousness. It is often very beneficial to see the worst that can happen played out in front of you. This can readily help you dispel fear and feel in control. You can then reconstruct it so that it works out as you want it to. This fulfills the great conglomerate plan.
Now, on the count of 3, come all the way back to full alertness. 1, 2, 3.
I'd forgotten about that one. Holy cow, that's a nice.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
I really, really like that one. Temple of Quiet. My mind feels very focused.
Yeah, I had an interesting visualization of challenges that I'm dealing with, and how to get my mind to quiet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Over the situations. Fun.
Cool. Very cool.
Okay, now it's novena time.
All right.
So for everyone, for new people, I'm gonna say this phrase, and you're gonna say it right along with me, and it doesn't matter when, where, how you're listening. This is a special prayer for petitioning. We're petitioning for ourselves, for others, and for this philosophy. And so the phrase is, I am God, I am part of God, I am God. All things are possible because I am God. And I'll say it 3 times. You'll say it right along with me. And then we'll ask for things and I'll guide you on that. So picture all of us to add to the synergism that we're all in a circle holding hands together. And I'll begin. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. Now, ask for things for yourself. Okay, the next set. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. Now ask for things for others. Okay. And the last one. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. Now, picture our light going out like a beacon for others seeking this spiritual knowledge, and that we be available to share with them. Very nice. And this is being Mother Azna Feast Day. Special prayer time and petitioning time.
Mm-hmm. I was buzzing during that. Like, I
Uh-huh.
felt so much energy, and I think, like you were just saying, I think it's the special day, Mother Asna's feast day. Whew, I felt like I was going to pass out. I opened my eyes.
Yeah. Show your appreciation to Francine and Rahim for researching all of this wonderful knowledge. How? By practicing what they've shared with us. And of course, Sylvia for coming to this insane asylum in the universe to start this movement and for showing us how to get some peace of mind and grace while we're here. Azna for helping us and protecting us. Father God for providing the most prestigious school for us to experience, learn, and satisfy our unique spark of curiosity. Bob Ingold for the beautiful graphics and some of helping with the recordings. Sammy and Javon for the intro-outro music. Let's see. For the show, writing, setting up, and hosting is MIT Catherine Taylor. Editing, technical direction, and hosting is Reverend Tom Bigley. And now, instead of a prayer from Sylvia, I'm going to read the Novus, the prayer for Mother Azna Feast Day. Now, for the dickens of me, you'll have to be patient, because I put it somewhere. Where did we go? Okay, I lost it. But I will find it, so it'll give me a moment here. There we go. Here we go. Okay.
All right.
So this is the special prayer from the from Mother Azna's feast day, our special ceremony. Azna, my beloved Azna, let your mantle surround us and protect us. Our Mother, we address you as the miracle worker, the glorious vehicle of intercession and healing support. We petition you as the Queen and Guardian of the world, bringing your grace and beneficence into our lives. We adore and honor you as the companion to our blessed Creator, God the Father. We accept you as the counterpart to our creation and give our hearts and souls to you in service. We know you can help us fulfill our preordained chart for our own perfection. We also know that we may petition you for our needs and desires. Dearest glorious Mother, Queen of the universe, our love is endless and our devotion is unwavering. Protect us from the failings of our own egos. Protect us from the negativities of life and the darkness that can surround us. Let your light of emotional understanding be a reflective shield against any evil. If we fail to remember you each day, dearest Mother, remember us and be waiting for us at the end of our lives so we can behold your glorious countenance. In the name of the Mother, Father, and Christ consciousness, Amen.
Amen.
God bless you. Have a great week. That's the end of that one. Okay. Where am I? I've got so many screens open here. I'm like, where am I supposed to be looking here? And, oh, by the way, I'm also supposed to do something like this and say, have a great week. And Kat's going to tell us,
we love you. Happy Azna's Feast Day, and go light a candle, write your petitions. See you next week. God bless.
For so long we have ignored you, as if you were not there. All praise went to the Father. We were so unaware that through the years you've shed your tears for all the pain we bear. Azna, how we love you. Place no one above you. Always thinking of you. Bless your name. You are Mother God. You've planted every blade of grass, creator of the stars. And when I'm feeling down and You're more than a friend to me. You give me everything I need. In your peace you hold me tight. You are the bringer of the light. With no fear we boldly stand. Because you hold this world in your hands. You are the truth. You are the hope and love we never knew. Oh, Azna, how we love you. Place no one above you. Always thinking of you. Bless your name. You are Mother God. Mother